کنم اشتارتنش کردم. ببین رو اون چیزت میشه نگاه کنی؟ ها؟ شروع نشده بعدم میشه نه؟ آره دیگه نوشته ده پس ده میشه.
Bis sich ein weiterer Teilnehmer in die Konferenz einwählt, werden Sie keine weiteren Tonsignale hören.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Ah, nice. Thank you. I have a little bit echo, but I think it works. Good. So shall we start? Um, let's start the recording. Okay. Recording is started. Welcome everyone to our first virtual class. So, you can ask any question at any time. This session will be hopefully live streamed over video over YouTube for those who can't participate by the GoToMeeting session. Okay. So I'm going to show you our Kubernetes Kops FastStart. It's on our Gitbook. It's about how to get started with KOps on AWS. KOps is, yes, the Kubernetes operation developed by Chris Nova 2 years ago, I think. And as an open source project provided on GitHub. You can get the documentation here. And mainly you can manage Kubernetes clusters on AWS. There are some additional guides from Arun Gupta and on Kubernetes.IO side, where you can get additional documentation for KOps. At the end of this session, after installing KOps on AWS, we will do that live together with you. If you would like to test the whole thing and have an AWS account, please feel free to do that in parallel. Go through the documentation and show you how to get started. So the first thing which you need is the AWS command line interface. You can get that through this guide and install it on your machine, on your local machine. Installing Kops is very easy. So on Mac you can use Homebrew and install it. That's the Brew package manager, and on Linux you can download widget that from this URL and provide execution rights and move it to your user local bin Kops. This has been done on my local laptop on my Mac. For Windows users, you can install either via VirtualBox, a Ubuntu image, or CentOS, or use Vagrant, and install KOps on KOps command line client on top of it. In addition, you need the kubectl, kubectl command line utility. To get it is curl it on your Mac or Linux, and you're ready to go. Similar to KOps, you have to provide execution rights and move it to your user local bin directory. So verify the version. I think I have on my local laptop a newer version 1.7.3. And in addition, it would be nice if you have a bash compilation. You can install it on Mac with brew install bash compilation, and source it and like this. Okay, on Linux it's very similar. So, okay, so you need your credentials on from AWS, your secret key and access key ID. I've done that for on my local environment, so I can't show my credentials to you. So, but if you're familiar with AWS, I think you know it how to do it. So simply run AWS configure. Um, okay, so now we can get started and create the group, a KOps group on AWS, and provide certain permissions for this group through the through attaching some policies, and then create a user. I have created that on my environment for AWS, and add the user to this group and create the access key. So after creating the access key, how it works, we have a, sorry for that, a cinema for you how it works. And at the end you will you can see if your user is created. From IAM list users, and then provide the access key in your AWS in your credentials file, which is located on under .aws. So okay, so and after all thing works, hopefully for you, then you can start creating the state store. Currently, the state store works only in the region US East 1. There is some issues with that. It doesn't work, for instance, in EU Central. And you can create your bucket, your S3 bucket like this. You have to replace that with your own cluster name or domain name. One point that the state store has a unique name. You can't use the same name as I'm using. So for recovery and reverting your cluster, it's recommended to have versioning activated for your bucket versioning like this. And you have to export some environment variables for your bucket. I will switch now. We'll start with the installation. Switch to my terminal. Okay. So clear my terminal. Good. Let's start to export. That's through Kubernauts.IO like this, and then provide a name for my cluster, and to see if which regions is available for any for you, or availability zones. I'm using the EU Central one. That's the availability zones which I'm using later. And now I'm ready to go and create the first cluster. So creating a cluster is very easy. So with the Kops command line utility, Kops create cluster, the name of your cluster, that's the name which I exported before here with export name, and the name of your state store, and provide the region. The zone where you are going to install your Kubernetes cluster. And with the -- yes, if you omit that, then it will show you what is going to happen. But if you provide -- yes, the cluster will be created immediately. So I will run that, and hopefully in few seconds. Okay, I got a problem here. Reading could not reach a location. Okay, good. There's nice problems sometimes. So I will switch to my browser, and we go to Amazon, and see what's going wrong. So first I have to see if a bucket already exists. That's my sweep. So I have no buckets here, so it means I have to run the whole. I have to go back. I thought I have done that. So I have to run this bunch of commands. So I'm running that in my terminal. You don't see that right now. And then I have to adjust my credentials. Credentials. So I can show that to you. What I'm doing is simply using my access key and for the user Kops, kops user. Okay. Now I can switch back to the terminal, and let's see if it works now. So we have to verify if the user exists. Yes. And now I have to create the bucket, what I did before. Okay, that was the whole bunch. what I've done. Okay, what I forgot was to create a bucket. So, oh, dot .io or -io as -io like this. Okay, so now the bucket is created, and I'll add the versioning as provided in the documentation and adjust my bucket name. Okay, so now I can export and do that again. The name, and now hopefully it works. Create, yeah, okay. So it will take now some minutes to create a cluster. So let us go to our EC2 AWS console and see if, okay, the instances are started. Go to, okay, it will take some minutes to have the cluster up and running. What we did is, okay, so after the cluster runs, you can see the nodes with kubectl, get nodes, or you can use the Kops validate cluster with the name of your cluster. I will show you in a few seconds, hopefully. And yeah, you can retrieve more information from your cluster with kube control cluster info, with --dump you will get much more information about your cluster. So the credentials for your Kops user can be accessed and changed if you want to log in as the Kops user. You have to use URL, this link, exactly like this, and then change the credentials for the user and adapt the password. So after the cluster is up and running, let's see if it's up now. Change to the terminal. Again, yes. So the cluster is in creation state. Let's see, kubectl get nodes. Okay, end of file, it means it's not ready now. The other command was to use the name of the cluster which I exported is like access the local node. Okay. It takes the name. Okay, that's the right name of my cluster. We have to be a little bit patient. Yeah, okay. What does it mean? So, as you saw in the web console of AWS, we have 3 instances running. The instances, the master node has a name, master EU central 1A, and we have 2 nodes from type G2 medium, and the master node is a larger one, and 3 medium. So you will see that the validation fails because most probably the worker nodes are not ready, right? So perhaps get nodes. So okay, the master is ready now, but the nodes are waiting to join the cluster. I have to see. So okay, something is going wrong here. I'm not sure what's going on. I didn't have this problem before. Perhaps they are not ready. Okay. kubectl cluster info. Okay, the master is running properly. Yeah, that's the API of my master, where I can access later our dashboard on it. But get notes. Somebody chatting me? Okay. So there is some problem. Okay, then let us delete the cluster and create it again. So deletion of the cluster is null. So now my cluster, all nodes I'll see in, like you can see EC2 describe instances. Okay, I will say see what still is terminated, and I hope I can create a cluster again. Let's check if the Kops state is true. It must be sure. Dollar. That's right. Wait. Okay. Good. Then let's see if we have more luck this time. To be honest, I didn't have. I created more than 20 clusters in the last 3 weeks. Never had such a problem. Okay, now switch. Okay. Validate cluster and a file for no validate cannot access because the API, the master server is not ready. We have to wait. So let's go and switch to the documentation. So, what happens here? First, if I go to my S3, then what I should see is my bucket. So that's the state store where all of the information above of my cluster exists, right? So there are some secrets here, my keys, and so on. In addition, Kops creates a bunch of security groups for us to access and provide free ports for my cluster in my cluster. And it creates a load balancer for us. That's the AP to access my master. If in this case we have only one master, but for a HA, a high availability deployment, we can do that later together. We need at least 3 masters. And it adds my nodes and masters to an auto-scaling group. We can see here we have the 2 auto-scaling groups created, one for our nodes. So it means if the utilization of my applications on the nodes increases, then Kops adds automatically. I didn't test it that, but is my understanding that the number of nodes will increase. So yeah, and it creates for us also our key here. Elastic IPs, no, that's not created. And go back to our instances, and we will see the new the nodes is running, but the master is not is initializing still. Um, go to my uh, okay, yeah, kubectl get nodes. So let's go. You see, not my terminal. Go back to the terminal. So now it looks better. Yeah. So as you can see, all nodes are running 36 seconds before. And let's get some more information about the cluster. It's that the same. They are all of them already. Wow. So okay, again, I'm not sure what happened before by the first cluster create command, why it didn't succeed, but whatever. We can learn about from it. Um, let's. What I'm going to do now after the creation of the cluster is on the documentation on Gitbook. We want to install our dashboard. The creation of dashboard in version 1.6.1 is like this. Simply we'll create kubectl create -f with this YAML file, which is the definition of our dashboard. So after the dashboard is created, immediately it will be available in the namespace kube system. And to okay, I have to switch because I am going to show the admin credentials with kubectl config view and minify that and go back to the documentation. So now you should see only my documentation. That now I will get the admin password, and by running this command you will get something similar to this for your installation with this URL, and you can find this URL with viewing the config and -- minify. So I done that in my terminal. Copy that, and let's say okay, that's expected, self-signed certificate, and access the dashboard with as admin. So that's not dashboard. The dashboard will be accessed with /UI. So now we don't have any workloads, right? Our cluster has some pods for sure. If you switch to the all namespaces, they are the deployments and pods on my system. That's the standard queue pods for that. Okay, that's the dashboard which we deployed right now. The queue proxy, scheduler, etcd server pods, API server, they are all responsible for running our Kubernetes cluster. And in addition, there have been some the Kubernetes dashboard replica sets has been created, as you see 2 minutes ago. We will go through the dashboard a little bit later after installing some sample applications. Let's see where we are in by the installation. By the way, is there any questions in the chat? No? Okay. So that was about the dashboard, and if you want to dive deeper with Kubernetes, it's highly recommended to use this link by Michael Hausenblas. It's one of the greatest guides which I use for myself every day to see the examples. You can use that on if you are using Minikube. Minikube is a tool where you can install Kubernetes on your local machine, or with Minishift, that's OpenShift, the minimal version of OpenShift, which you can run locally for development. Good. At this point, we want to create a larger cluster and spread our master nodes in 3 availability zones for HA. Let me please switch back to terminal, and so what I'm doing now is create a second cluster. The second cluster name will be Kubernauts.IO local, and I would like to increase the number of nodes to 5 here. I'm using the same state store, right? So which I created. I think it should be possible to define another, or it would be recommendable to use another state store. If you have several clusters, you would need several clusters under the same account in your AWS account. So yeah, so as you can see, the cluster is being created, and let's go, and here you will get at the end how you can log into your master. So okay, the master of this cluster is not ready, but the first cluster which I created, you can access the master through with the admin user. That's a Debian machine. API. Okay, result and name. Okay. Sorry for that. Oh. kubectl config get clusters. Get clusters. Okay, I have, as you see, 3 clusters. The Kubernetes is one local cluster which I'm running, and not sure what is. Okay, it's local. Okay, good. I have to skip that for now. Not sure what. Get nodes. Okay, now I know what was wrong. Because after running the second cluster, my context has been changed. So I have to switch back to my first cluster. So that is done. It's provided in the documentation. I have to set my context to my first cluster and then use that context. All right, so the context is always or you can save your kube config where you want, but it's under kube config. That's this file, which where your credentials resist and the cluster definition, right? So, and now with that, I switch back to my oh. Didn't work. Okay. Okay, it's local. Good. What I've done. So set the context, it's right, and use the context. Okay, that's the right name of my server which one I want to access. Okay, but I'm sure I can access my master node. I have to go to my console. Let's see, and grab the IP, and then I should be able, yes, okay, via the IP. No, yeah, I'm on my Debian machine, that's the master node, and now you can kubectl or use sudo, I think. Sudo kubectl get nodes, and you'll see that's the machines or master and worker nodes of my first cluster. So let's go back, and we have to switch again back to our first cluster. And then use switch back, and now if I run kubectl get nodes, then you will see the nodes which was created for my second cluster. Now we will switch to the console to AWS. Where is it? And you will see we have now 5 additional machines created. The nodes Kubernauts.1. They are new, 1, 2, and I have 3 masters. One master is here. One, and this master is new. Good. So now we have 2 clusters, and if you are creating that in parallel and would like to delete that at the end, then deleting a cluster is very easy. You have to provide only the cluster name with kops delete cluster, the name, and the name of your state store. So now let's go to the Helm section. Helm is a package manager or package installer for Kubernetes. It's a very great tool developed by DICE engineers, which are working for Microsoft now. Helm uses Kubernetes charts. There are a lot of charts available for free on Kube apps. Kube apps and on GitHub together. So you can create your own charts for your own applications, and the documentation is very great. That's here the link to Helm Quick Start Guide. But to get started, you need to install it on Mac, for instance, with brew install Kubernetes Helm. This is installed on my machine, and with Helm in it, you will install the server component. The name is Tiller in your Kubernetes cluster, and with repo update, Helm repo update, you will be able to get the current packages or Helm charts available for the public. Good. Now let's please go and change again to the terminal and see how it works. Good. So first I have to verify if Helm version. You will see that Helm is installed, but there is no tiller. Tiller, as I mentioned, is shall be installed on every cluster where you want to use Helm to deploy applications. With Helm search, you'll get a bunch of applications available. So Jenkins and so on. So MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Prometheus for monitoring, Redis, and so on. Really great. So let's go, and on the documentation side, I installed for the Minio. If I want to find the Minio version, which is provided currently to the Helm repository repo, then I can search for the application name, and installing is very easy. Helm install and then stable Minio. So okay, tiller is not installed because I forgot to run Helm init. So with Helm init, tiller is now installed on my cluster, and we can start happy helming. So, and Helm install stable Minio. As you can see, you'll get this at the end. You can access in a few seconds the Helm. It will be exposed to the public IP on the cluster. Let's go and switch back to our Kubernetes dashboard. I have my C. Good. Then let's see where my it will be installed, I think, in the services area. Kubernetes. Okay, that's my first dashboard. I have to go and find the API. That's the first cluster. Nothing is installed. Is right. Then kubectl config minify. Now let's go to my second cluster dashboard and find the admin password. That's my admin. Oh. Copy. The old cluster. Just a moment. So switching between clusters is something that's the right password, and then I can UI. Oh man, makes me crazy here. I could not find. Okay, good. For the second cluster, I didn't install the dashboard. It's clear why I can't see my dashboard, right? So install that, and then in a few seconds the dashboard hopefully is installed. Yeah, good. So you can see that now my Minio deployment and the pod where Minio is running, and hopefully, yes, you can see the external endpoint. That's the load balancer. Yeah, the ingress controller of Kubernetes where the external endpoint is provided. So if I click on that, then you will see you can find the access key and the secret key after running the Helm install stable Minio package from Helm repository. So that's fine. Our application is running. Go. What are you watching on my? Okay, the documentation. So and wrapping up at the day, yeah, please don't forget to delete your cluster. I will do that later. Now I want to see if anybody a question. Adriano, yes, please.
Yes,
Hi.
answer
Hi.
the question. The question is Kops able to deploy high availability clusters?
Yes.
I saw that yes, is it?
Yes. Yes. So yeah, I will show you a great comparison and a new project from Chris Noah, which I'm very excited about it. That's Kubicorn or Cubic ORN. Um, this Kubicorn is a very new project. I think 2-3 weeks old, with 400 stars on GitHub. Um, it based on kubeadm, so and but doesn't provide any high availability at this point, because kubeadm itself doesn't provide any high availability. So but I think in the near future Kubicorn will be. And but your question was if KOps provides high availability. Yes, you can install multiple masters, I think up to 9 masters, and then distribute your masters on different availability zones, right? So and achieve HA is we are using that, or not ourselves, but our clients are using that on AWS very successful. It's very stable, and I think Amazon is going to re-implement somehow or use the implementation to provide the Amazon Kubernetes engine, whatever the name will be, but as you might have heard some days ago, in the last weeks, now is official. Amazon is now has joined Cloud Native Foundation, and I think they will provide their own Kubernetes implementation similar to Google and Microsoft. So okay, the documentation is on GitHub. That's the Kops documentation. Um, there are a lot of advanced features which I didn't cover here, but you can find all of this information here on GitHub. And if you have any questions like me, the guys on the Slack channel and ladies are very helpful. They can answer any questions which you have, or if you join us on our Slack channel and I don't or myself don't know the answer to your question, we others are on the channel which can help you. Um, so where was the advanced bugs features? Mm, Real releases and so on. So I go back. Yeah. So what would be isn't perhaps nice for you to know? KOps creates in the background, I think, Terraform files. So if you're familiar with, I didn't, to be honest, I wanted to test myself how it works and if I can reuse the Terraform state and TF files to adapt the cluster. You can try that by applying to creating the Terraform model with dash dash target Terraform. You can also edit a running cluster. So I believe it is done with kops edit cluster name and the name of your nodes, right? And say, or the master nodes, and then you will get a YAML definition of your cluster which you can edit. For instance, increase the number of nodes or masters in place, and then do a kops update. I think it should be possible. I saw that somewhere on a blog post, but I can't remember. But I'm sure somewhere here on GitHub we should be able. Yeah.
Stop. I see HA master option below where you are now. You see? You are on
Yeah, 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 yeah.
folder.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
One, two, three, four. The fourth
Here.
one an HA master.
Yeah, yeah. Master zones and the number of nodes and so on. This configurable. Yes. Yeah, yeah. There is also, I have to search a very nice video from Cloud Academy about Kubernetes and some advanced features where not Kubernetes, KOps on AWS. I think I can search for Cloud Academy uh, Kubernetes blog posts or YouTube. Cloud Academy YouTube. I saw that. Yes, sir. I think this. I believe this is one of no Kubernetes or Kops. Cloud Acting YouTube Kops. Yeah, that's the video. Yeah, so you see I call it. I didn't went through the whole video, but I think it's a very nice video where you can have get additional information. Um, so okay, coming back to this great post by Chris Noah. Um, at this time, if you want to have a production-ready cluster, the right way would be to go with Kops on AWS and even on Google Compute Engine. I'm not sure how the status of Kops support for Google Compute Engine works. I didn't try it myself, but I saw that it's the command line provides support that as well. But I think in the near future the right way would be to go with kubectl, and you are working on it. It works great. I tried that on AWS. It's cloud agnostic. It runs on Burm. Or they have already support for DigitalOcean. They are going to support OpenStack. We are going to help that by providing an OpenStack environment and help by developing the kubectl provider for OpenStack. So perhaps some additional information about the learning resources. We put some links for you together on this Excel sheet is publicly available. The link is somewhere here. The link, short link, I will paste that into the chat for you. So that's the link. So there is a lot of great documentation which I found in the last 3 to 4 months and put that together. And what I would, if you are very new to Kubernetes, one of the greatest documentation is for sure from on Kubernauts.IO. But in addition, I highly recommend to go through Kubernetes Bootcamp, which is the best documentation which I have ever seen, supported by Katacoda, interactive learning platform. We had a session with Ben Hall 2 weeks ago, or last week on Wednesday. And I watched the video. It's very nice, and I learned a lot from Ben. Thanks Ben again for the great session. And so I mentioned Kubernetes by example by Michael Hausenblas. It's really great. That's a really nice hands-on how you can create a pod by hand, deploy applications. It describes how the YAML file works, and later we are going by one of our next meetups to provide CI/CD with Kubernetes and GitLab on the Kops environment, which we ran together now on AWS or anywhere you can. I think you should be able to go through these tutorials and how-tos. This one is very nice, also by Sergey Notstein, a great guy who writes great articles and blog posts. Okay, there are a lot of books not ready now, but My favorite book is from Bilgen Ibrahim and Roland Hoos about Kubernetes patterns. I think it's also not ready, but 50% for €5 or dollars you can have it. And for sure, there's all other books which are going to be released or published very soon till October this year. So, and other links on this page. Okay, so what I forgot, I wanted to show the Kubernetes architecture to you at the beginning of this session, but I was somehow nervous because of technical problems. Good. So the last thing which I wrote last week is about running Kubernetes, the latest Kubernetes. What I showed you is with Kops, the Kubernetes 1.6.2, I think. But the latest Kubernetes 1.7.3 on with the latest Docker version 17. I'm not sure what that's the new versioning schema of Docker. That's the version 17.06, the community edition. I ran the whole thing on OpenStack and wrote this short guideline how to get started with that, but it should work on your local VirtualBox if you want to, or in a Vagrant machine for sure. That if you want to have a look, the link I will see if I have the short. Yeah, the short link is here. Paste that for you. As this the latest Kubernetes 1.7.3 has additional security features, and this was covered in our first meetup through EOR. If you want to see what's new in Kubernetes 1.7.3, please watch that video. Good. I think I'm okay. Perhaps let's go through the dashboard. Namespaces. So by default, if you log into the Kubernetes dashboard, you will see the default namespace. Normally, if you create a new application, you don't must, but you could create your own namespace and deploy the application in that namespace. If I go through all namespaces, then you will see we have the default namespace and the kube system namespace. This comes by default by a Kubernetes installation. So, and if you have deployed, I don't have any daemon sets here, but you can create daemon sets. You will see your deployments here. For instance, we have 2 deployments today. That's our tiller, the server component of Helm pack, and our Minio deployment is here, and you can see and edit the definition of your deployment directly here and update that. For instance, the number of replicas and so on. So please go through the dashboard, and if you have any questions, please. Okay. One thing what I forgot to mention is about. I mentioned that every time by our. That's this link is very important, and that's the Slack channel where we discuss what we are going to do, what mm, our plan is, and we would be happy to hear about your suggestions, about your needs. And one last thing is we are going to support and sponsor the Kubernetes administration training provided by Cloud Native Foundation. If you want to become a Kubernetes administrator and professional, would be happy to support you in this way and pay for the registration. Every month we will our plan is to support at least 10 girls or guys. For August, we have currently 7 registrations which have been approved. If you come into the Slack channel, I can show you perhaps my Slack channel. We have currently over 16 members in the channel. Change the window. Where is my Slack? It's very hard. Slack. Okay. So here, I hope you see. Yeah. Okay. That's the Slack channel, and so we have nice guys here, very active. One of the guys is my friend Christopher. From Kubernauts meetup in Lagos in Nigeria. Very glad to work with him in the last days on different Kubernetes projects. And yeah, there is a general channel. If you come in, then you will be automatically added to this channel. And now we have a CKA channel. That's about the Kubernetes certified Kubernetes administrator group. Is a closed channel. The program is not published now, right? So from Cloud Native Foundation, I had an email yesterday or some days ago. They announced to have the program, the final program, by September 11th. But for now, I think if you apply to go through the Linux Foundation train or Cloud Native Foundation training, we'd be happy um, to help you and support you by the registration and pay for that as to sponsor, and hope you will be able to help others later by becoming a professional. Good. Anything else in the chat? Any questions from your side? Okay, I can show you some more information about that. Then I have to switch. I pasted some information yesterday. Yeah. If you are in the channel, you will get the latest information here in the Slack channel. The yeah, so the final program, late August, it would be the standard setting committee sessions to determine exam passing score by the end of this month, and the September 11th will be the public launch of the program by Open Source Summit in North America. So I think after that, or perhaps today, you can also applied for as a beta tester for the certification. So, but the course which is supporting that, there is a free introduction to Kubernetes course. It had 4,000 registration in the first 10 days. That's really great. But the official, yeah, the official course is this LFS 258 course from Linux Foundation, which helps you to prepare for the CKA exam. So, but I'm not sure content has been newly updated. Okay, that's nice to know. So, I myself, I subscribed for the course last year in December, and got a certification, short certification there. But so if you want to register here, please let me know. We will be happy, and go to the Kubernetes, the certified Kubernetes administration exam. Then we will add you to this channel, to the CKE channel, and then announce when we are going to start together to go through the course, and then have the exam at the end. Right? That's the right procedure, or the planned uh, procedure where we are going to go. Was the right answer to your question? Okay. Fine. Okay. Sorry that it didn't work out of the box by the first cluster creation, but anyway, everything doesn't work out of the box, but I didn't have the problem in the last weeks. But I have to see in the logs what was going wrong. It took more than 1.5 hour. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for joining, participating, and hope to have you by our next sessions. If you have any questions, please join us on the Slack channel. We'd be happy to answer your question if we could, and if we can't, then we will ask others to help you. Okay? Thank you very much, and have a great, yeah, Saturday and a nice weekend. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.